Alright, so another video with comrades Dankey and F.V.K 1917.
What's up, comrades?
This time, Charlie Kirk won't crush socialism, he will smash it. So he's crushed it in the past part, but these are the top 5 takedowns of 2017. So after this video, I'm expecting to burn all of my Marx books, burn all of my Lenin books, because the show's over. It's, we've lost. We've Charlie Kirk has smashed us. He's crushed us and he smashed us. I mean, what else can you say?
Okay, as a libertarian socialist, right, as you would know, workers controlling the means of production, right, that's just like an economic thing. I don't believe in big government, right? I believe
You don't?
no government.
No government. So you're an
government.
anarchist.
Yes. I believe in voluntary hierarchy and democracy.
Okay, so, wow. But let me ask you a question in all seriousness. No, here's the question. Here's a serious question, though. What's preventing you from doing what the Amish do, get off the grid and just go live like that right now?
Well, the Amish are religiously excluded.
No, forget the religious component.
Well,
but
because
the Amish are a great
It's
example.
incredibly difficult to just pick up everything that you have, leave, and go into...
So you want to tell me how to live?
No, I'm not telling you how to live.
No. You are, because you're arguing for a governmental structure.
A lack of one, rather.
Even a lack of a governmental structure will then make me live the way you want me to live. I'm not going to tell you how to live your
however
life.
you want. What I'm saying is that...
So you're okay with me
under the society
having
that I
5
currently
houses
live
and
in,
6 yachts?
What I'm saying is that the society that I...
Sorry. But he essentially says he should pull like a Robert Owen and just found New Harmony or something like that, and just try and create your own utopia, like the original socialists,
Yeah, it's the original this is America. If you don't love it, get out. Only it's this is America. If you want to live in your little anarchist commune, you're gonna have to go fucking found it. You're gonna have to go to the Amazon jungle and get some unclaimed land in Antarctica and just found your own commune there.
I currently
Answer
live
the
in.
question.
I'm forced to... Wait, what?
Answer the fucking question, bitch. This is an interrogation.
You're okay with me having 5 houses and 6 yachts?
I'm not okay with you having them if you are not using them.
Oh, not you. So all of a sudden you're now telling me how to live my life. I'm never going to tell you how to live your life, my friend. Why are you telling me how to live mine?
What I'm saying is that there are people that are literally starving, and that if you had extra houses and they literally just came and occupied the houses that you are not using, they are justified because you are being a massive asshole.
Oh man, see, this is why anarchists shouldn't be spokesmen of socialism, especially to somebody like Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, going at it from I guess he's right, but just going at these people with a moral argument is never gonna work. But really at the heart of this is exploitation. I mean, why else would you have 5 houses when everybody else, when there's so many other people who don't have any? Yeah. I mean, there's that's showing that there's some major class differences in your society. So yeah, that's the thing that's here is exploitation.
And who needs 5 houses and 6 yachts anyway? What the fuck are you, Charlie Kirk? Some kind of a fucking pirate? Why do you have this whole fleet of boats ready? Are you gonna invade Madagascar or something and force them all to wear diapers? What's your end goal?
Being a massive asshole to not... So if someone forcefully takes away something that is sedentary, not being used in that purpose, it is a rightful means of theft.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So you don't believe in private property rights?
No, I do not.
You don't believe in private property rights, so we're getting somewhere. So you're not a libertarian, my friend. Libertarians believe...
I'm not a libertarian in the American... I'm not a libertarian in the capitalist sense. I'm not a libertarian in the American sense.
So stop...
He really should have introduced it I'm an anarchist or something like that, because him calling himself a libertarian just led to a massive confusion. Anybody who's not inside of anarchist circles or leftist circles, they don't know that libertarian was originally a term for anarchists. They just associate it with the modern day libertarians that want everybody to ride on private toll roads and drink lead contaminated water.
Yeah, if I hear somebody say they're a libertarian anarchist, it makes me imagine something like what Proudhon was imagining, these different communes and stuff having their different currencies and just something like that, where they would think it's like anarchism just because there's like a certain autonomy to these like different, almost like capitalist like communes, having their own like money and stuff like that. So, I mean, like, I don't know what he believes specifically, but there's definitely a big confusion there. I wonder what he's gonna say about that though, what he actually believes.
Yeah, it's kind of painful to watch this one. I mean, this pretty much is a takedown, but it's not because it's not necessarily a takedown of socialism. It's more a takedown of anarchism.
Stop using the word, because you're anything but it.
Alright, so that was the big takedown. Like, this libertarian socialist calls himself a libertarian, and they say, like, checkmate, you're not a libertarian. And they don't understand really what he meant by a libertarian socialist. They don't understand that those are like two different things. That really they are the ones that are sort of using the leftist word improperly. They were the ones that like stole that first. So, he's within his right to call himself a libertarian socialist as far as I'm concerned. All these ANCAP, quote unquote libertarian losers on the right need to just call themselves what they are, which is ANCAPs.
Yeah, definitely.
The Soviet example was so great. Why were people fleeing the Soviet Union for Western democracies, and they weren't fleeing Western democracies for the Soviet Union?
Yeah, I don't defend the generation of the Soviet Union. As I was pointing forward, the Lenin and Trotsky, they pointed out that the revolution wasn't international, that it was contained within a single nation.
It wasn't contained. You tried it in Afghanistan, you tried it in Ukraine, you tried it in Lithuania, you tried it in Latvia, you tried it in Zimbabwe, you tried it in Cuba, you tried it in Central America, you tried it all throughout the... What are you talking about? You tried it on the Korean Peninsula, you tried it in Kyrgyzstan, you tried it in Pakistan, you tried it in China, you tried it in Vietnam, you tried it in Laos, you tried it in Cambodia, you tried it in Indochina. What do you mean contained?
If anything, like, he's making it sound like, yeah, I mean, that's how it was. A huge chunk of the world went for, like, socialism at a point in time, and if anything, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Yeah.
I wonder what the conditions were materialistically that, like, convinced all of these countries, these third world countries, to flock to socialism. Like, it can't be because capitalism sucks. And this guy, I think the socialist guy in the crowd did kind of a poor job of making his point. I think what he was trying to say is that the revolution in Russia was oriented towards building socialism in one country, but that was really sort of misleading because the Soviet model, especially under Stalin, was very internationally minded.
Yeah, I mean, he was right in saying, like, that Lenin and Trotsky did notice that it was, like, contained in Russia, but that wasn't, like, some type of, like, shared position that they were, like, talking to each other about. Trotsky had his whole theory of permanent revolution, but Lenin, he was writing about, spreading the revolution abroad, but, of course, they decided on, like, socialism in one country.
Mm-hmm.
But even within that, they had like the Comintern and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they were trying to spread revolution to other countries. So it wasn't their main project, but they were doing it. They had like I think it was the Lenin School, where they had like people from other countries like coming to like study and become revolutionaries. That Ho Chi Minh like studied there and all these guys. So yeah, they were doing things. But that's what he was going for. He was like, oh, that was a flaw of Soviet socialism. They just focused on themselves too much.
Yeah, I think, and then it was also interesting because Charlie Kirk said, well, what about, like, Latvia? What about Lithuania? What about Ukraine? Like, those were all parts of the USSR. So, I mean, like, and then Afghanistan, all that stuff, like, we could get into, like, the cause of the Afghanistan war. I'm not really all that familiar with it, but, to just take all of these examples of historical, like, Marxist-Leninist revolutions and say, like, oh, they all failed, socialism sucks, checkmate, I think is very, dishonest.
Yeah, there's an awesome, it's a very short documentary about, when the Soviet Union was in Afghanistan,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of the rights that they gained, it was just it was pretty impressive. But yeah, I'm sure we'll link it below, and so I'm not totally sure on the history with that, but there is something to be said about the achievements that they had under Soviet rule.
Yeah. And I mean, just looking at what he says right here about Cambodia, of course, we have to point out that Pol Pot was not a socialist, not in the traditional sense. He was very, what do you call it, ethno-nationalistic.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I mean, that obviously was not Marxist. It was revisionist and opportunist in its application.
Yeah, and he had this strange view that like the agrarian peasants would like somehow lead, not that they would lead the revolution, but their like production would be like all they could rely on, and like that's what they would mostly focus on, and it didn't work. And of course, I mean, yeah, you can say that it largely did lead to famines and stuff like that. They weren't focusing on like industry or anything like that.
And plus, we have to focus on who originally armed the Khmer Rouge. That was the United States. And we also have to focus on who eventually destroyed the Khmer Rouge, and that was Vietnam, the Socialist Army of Vietnam.
Yeah.
So, checkmate, Charlie Kirk.
Cambodia? You tried in Indochina? What do you mean contain?
Cambodia is Indochina.
So, Charlie,
and Laos. I
have a question for you. You've talked about...
You can't name a country twice, Charlie Kirk, and then act like you've won.
Name the USSR
liberal
by
bias
every
in
country.
Yeah. Well, what about Mongolia? What about the Urals? What about Latvia? What about Belarus?
Academia.
Yes.
What are the incentives behind that? Like, why did, in your perspective, why did that come to be?
Well, there's a lot of reasons, and it's undeniable that professors are tilted far to the left. An independent study showed that professors 12-1 are registered Democrat versus Republican.
It's almost like smart people veer to the left.
Right.
Like people that read books, people who are learned veer to the left. And it's not elitist if the discrepancy is that much, it's just a fact.
They use these facts and then they make them sinister.
Yeah. If the ratio is 12-1, like, it's not an opinion, it's just a fact. Like, sorry, hate to break it to you, but yeah, like, smart people are left wing. You won't see Charlie Kirk getting a PhD anytime soon. Probably a PhD in like diaper wearing. That's a thing.
Because they don't have jobs at Goldman Sachs. Maybe get the
Well,
Goldman Sachs
again, let me
employees to
finish
be
it.
professors.
Well, no, it's actually
Charlie,
so. If you insult conservatives, I'll insult liberals. It's because conservatives are more likely to go make a bunch of money, and liberals aren't. So you want to get to there? We'll say that.
So that, I think.
Yeah,
Let me say
singular. Conservatives are more likely to endow
Charlie.
their professorships. Conservatives are more likely to have their names on the buildings. Conservatives are more likely to
Charlie,
create
I would
the
say
jobs
answer the question,
on
Charlie.
campus.
Charlie.
Exactly. So
Charlie.
you want to throw it, you got to take it.
Alright, that didn't even have a big point. It was just like conservatives are job creators.
Yeah, they're the capitalist class. Like, we understand that.
Let me jerk them off even more than I already do to own the libs. And the guy on his right, that's Hassan Piker. He's not a lib. From what I know, he's a socialist. So to equate him with your average lib just shows, Charlie Kirk really doesn't understand what the hell he's talking about. He's a child. Charlie Kirk is a child's brain in an adult man's body. That's why his face is slightly smaller than a normal man's face.
Charlie.
Exactly. So
Charlie.
you want to throw it, you got to take it.
I want to say that you are hearing from people that are very frustrated. They are oppressed and they are very, very tired. You're hearing from people who are emotionally exhausted. And you are coming from a place of privilege. I don't expect you to have the same perception as they do, but you need to hear what they are saying. And from your language, you want to argue. And that is really unfortunate because these people care.
And I just want to say, they're probably exhausted because they had to listen to Charlie Kirk talk for like longer than 5 minutes. I get exhausted watching these videos.
Yeah. Once again, like if you're hitting them with like a moral argument, you're just giving them like the bait that they're like looking for. They're just ready to tear you apart. Like if you're hitting them with stuff like this.
Don't argue from your fifis. Argue with the facts, because I mean the facts are on our side. Find one of those 12 out of 12 and 1 professors to fucking defend socialism with you.
Yeah.
Don't just come in with an argument like, well, it's very emotionally traumatizing for me to talk to you, Charlie Kirk, because you're an asshole. And I mean, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's very tough to deal with, especially like as a woman or as a black person or somebody. You have to deal with these conservatives arguing for a system of politics that keeps you oppressed. And I'm sure it is very, emotionally exhausting to listen to all that stuff. But don't argue from emotion. Be like a robot and argue from logic, because that's the only thing that'll get these logic and reason boys to back off. If you hit them with, oh, you committed a logical fallacy, sir. That was a ad hoc post ergo hoc, bitch. That'll shut them up right quick, I'm sure.
So what does your sign say, by the way?
The alt-right threaten lives and kills.
So it's somehow me that wants to argue, and you say I threaten lives and kills?
Wait, I'm sorry, what was the question again?
No, I mean, I'm asking, you're saying I'm the one that's here to argue, and you're wearing a sign that says Charlie Kirk threatens lives and kills.
It's not
and
an
I'm the
argument.
one provoking disagreement.
It's not an argument, it's a statement. Also...
No, you accuse me of wanting to argue with people, and I'm saying you're the one wearing a sign accusing me of threatening lives and killing.
I've been sitting there this whole time listening to you. I have not been the one that has been calling out. I ask that you give me the opportunity to listen to me as I have listened to you.
I asked you a question.
Here he goes, bad cop Charlie Kirk. He's like, I ask you a question, bitch. You're on the witness stand.
Is he like admittedly in the alt-right camp?
Charlie Kirk pretends like he is not in the alt-right, but like all of these conservative guys, they all overlap. Like he will associate with people from the alt-right. He will associate with folks like Jordan Peterson, folks who really cater and appeal to all these like alt-right chud incel groups. And Charlie Kirk isn't above associating with anybody like that. Like he fancies himself a libertarian, kind of like how Dave Rubin thinks of himself, and like Ben Shapiro. They're all sort of cut from that same like Koch brothers cloth, but like so they don't go like full memer, full blown like alt-right 4chan like gross dude, but they do dabble in that kind of stuff frequently.
Okay.
And like he says like he destroys socialists in this video.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing that has established that like any of these people are real socialists. Like that guy, the first dude, the libertarian the libertarian socialist, like he might not have even really understood what he was talking about. He might have like the only book he might have read was like the Communist Manifesto back in high school, and like that's it. So we don't know if these people are experts or not, but this isn't like Charlie Kirk taking down like a seasoned knowledge expert on socialism.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't even count myself like an expert on socialism.
It'd be one thing if he was like debating like, I don't know, Marxist professors, or even just like, I don't know, labor organizers, or some type of like dedicated, working class professional.
Yeah, like if he was debating Michael Parenti and he said all this stuff, like obviously he would come out of that debate looking like a complete ass. But because he's debating like these random ass like freshman college students, they don't know. And you can't really expect them to know because, I mean, they're still young and they're still learning.
Right.
So go ahead. You got the floor.
Thank you. I will say this. I will say that you use the name of God, and God is not with you, and you are a false prophet. And to those that your influence, you are an oppressor. Your influence was meant to be destroyed, and so therefore I ask everyone to fulfill their destiny and give them hell.
I mean, that was a piss poor argument. That was a piss poor attempt. Like, shame on that girl. She should have just sat down. Shit.
I mean,
man.
like, it's just unfortunate, but I mean, like, of course, this is the stuff that they're gonna share around the most and be like, oh, this like represents the liberals and all that shit. Like, so.
I wonder if there were any people asking him like really hard questions that Charlie Kirk just fumbled and couldn't answer.
Right.
And they just don't show those. I'm sure that exists out there somewhere.
Charlie Kirk gets owned.
I mean, if he ever comes around here, we'll grill him with questions, I'm sure.
I'm sorry. Absolutely. My only question is to ask you to leave.
Oh my god. Yeah, she was not good. I'll admit, Charlie Kirk didn't have to destroy her. She kind of destroyed herself.
Yeah.
Turning Point is dangerous, right?
To socialism, absolutely, yes.
And so
I would argue that it's dangerous because it sells this like libertarian ANCAP bullshit philosophy on impressionable college students, while painting this phony false version, like this straw man of socialism that will only serve to divide the working class. It will like poison people's minds against socialism. And this guy is basically a stooge for big business. And so, yeah, I think he is a threat. I think Turning Point USA is a blight on our campus. They're a blight on every campus.
Yeah, and you can tell, like, it looks like when we see them on campus, it looks like they're heavily funded. They get all kinds of, like, flyers and stuff. You can tell, like, they just send them, like, everything. So, yeah, I mean, I don't even know how big their group is, on campus. I think it's just, like, a few people.
Yeah, I mean, it's a small group, but they have, like, big money thrown at them. Like, expensive-ass banners and pins and buttons, the whole shebang. Like that Koch brother money comes leaking out, and the whole thing is just this very phony attempt to like make conservatism appeal to young people, which is a very hard thing to do.
They use like Stranger Things logo.
Yeah,
and it says like socialism sucks, and they'll just use all these like little cultural references, and yeah, it's bizarre.
It's very similar to how the modern day alt-right uses pop culture to like push their reactionary politics. They do the same thing, they just have a shit ton more funding behind them.
Well, I guess that was that. I don't know why that was the number one.
Yeah,
that was like the least dramatic one.
I forgot even what it was.
It was he said Turning Point is dangerous, and then like everybody cheered, and
that was it. That was the takedown of socialism. I was waiting for the takedown, and it just never happened. I guess that was the takedown.
Yeah.
This is a pathetic video, Turning Point. Like, do you guys honestly think you have owned socialism? You put hashtag socialism sucks here. This was an absolutely shit-worthy attempt to take down socialism, to smash socialism. Charlie Kirk tried to smash socialism, but he wound up smashing his dick into a brick wall, and now he has to wear a diaper because he's incontinent. So, I mean, that's really the only takeaway I have from this. This was a failed attempt to smash socialism.
Yeah, once again.
Fucking pathetic.